this visit where it was alleged that, or you allege, you weren't there yourself when O'Sullivan and Ms. Trent was there with the IPID investigators. Is that right?
You're allowed to ask questions. I'll answer at the time where I've got an opportunity to do so. Because it looks like you were at my place. It looks like you know my place. And I really take offense, Chair. I have already traversed this issue, putting facts there. When I was asked about O'Sullivan and Mandla and Sarah Jane Trent being at my house, I think the honorable members ask here, I say, on that day, I was in Komhlanga. I said it here. I was in Komhlanga. I was launching the festive season campaign of the South African Police Service. I left Komhlanga and went to Limpopo. When I was in Limpopo, I got further calls. I don't know. Why must I be asked whether I was there? I was not there, and I placed it on record.
I don't know why you go on. You weren't there. I'm trying to establish a fact. Okay? I'm trying to establish a fact. The fact is that Trent was there, O'Sullivan was there, but other IPID officials, officers were also there. You don't know as a fact that O'Sullivan or Trent presented themselves to the security people at the gate or to people at your house that they are there as IPID members. They were accompanying IPID members. Now, another fact, a case was opened against them for impersonating IPID officers. Nothing has come, is it also a fact? Nothing has come of that case. They weren't prosecuted, certainly not successfully. And those allegations still hang in the air. So as a fact, it hasn't been established that they impersonated IPID officers. Yeah. Or don't you accept that either?
Am I to respond? I'm asking, am I to respond now?
Yes, I'm putting it to you.
If you allow me, let me then respond. Charged. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm going to respond. I do not rely on hearsay. And I do not rely on narratives that are being peddled in the public domain that are uninformed. First, there is never a dispute that Nkabinde opened the cases. Under oath here, Nkabinde told you that this is what they were told to do. And having been told to do later, it's not before he opened the case, later, his conscience troubled him. And it is on that basis that he deposed not this affidavit. There is an affidavit in the docket which you say never saw its day. As a 204 witness. This is a different affidavit. He deposed the affidavit when he was opening case 123 of 11/2016. That's the defeating the ends of justice. I don't know whether you have it on your records. 2, he deposed an affidavit in this 534. Maybe this thing is giving feedback again, Chair. Can I move to this one?
The problem, the microphone may be part of the problem, not entirely. Both you and the microphone may be the problem. So, look, I want to request you not to be agitated.
No. In practice for a number of years, and I've also done my fair share of criminal matters. You've heard of pointing out in criminal matters.
Chair, I'm not going to respond to that one because it's an obvious thing in the police environment, in investigations.
And who does the pointing out?
Witness.
Witnesses. And how do they do it? They do it in the presence of the police. They do it in the presence of an investigating officer, especially a murder scene or where an offense was committed in rape cases.
May you please get closer to the microphone? Listen.
So witnesses, no, not only witnesses, but complainants. It depends obviously on the nature. I think we can agree it depends on the nature of the complaint, the nature of the charge that's been laid. That complainants and witnesses routinely accompany the police or a detective investigating a matter to a particular crime scene or pointing out.
SC. Chair, I will unfortunately not respond to that question.
Okay, then we
Because
can move on
I'm
if you don't want to
dealing
respond.
with the specific case here. Paul O'Sullivan at my place, Paul O'Sullivan being involved with IPID, Paul O'Sullivan being a complainant, an investigating officer, and everything else that is there. The justification of that conduct, the attack on me, which I must sit through and be told it sounds okay, I will never respond to it.
So here's a complainant. He is Paul O'Sullivan. He's not the investigator because the matter is being investigated by IPID. He goes and he goes with the IPID investigators to your place to show them this is your place. And they take photographs of your place. What is irregular about that? I submit to you that there's nothing irregular about it. It is quite normal. I don't hold the brief. Let me be very clear. I don't hold the brief for O'Sullivan.
No, I have suspicions. I truly have suspicions.
Yes,
Chair,
that is the
I
truth,
want
no evidence.
that
It's based on
ST
speculation.
to show me
suspicion.
one sworn affidavit in any of the dockets where Paul O'Sullivan is a complainant. One. I'm not asking for two. Show me one. Which case number?
Now, that is exactly the point, General Phahlane. You face a number of cases involving corruption, and I'm going to deal with it. And Mr. O'Sullivan is not the complainant. He's not a witness in those cases. This is a complete distraction in relation to those corruption charges that you are facing. It's not about O'Sullivan. It's about you.
Chair, I need protection, and I'm not going to respond to that, no matter how loud you ask that question.
I want us to do this.
If I may move on from there.
No, before you move on.
Yeah.
What we want in these proceedings, honorable members, what we want in these proceedings, we want an evidence leader and a witness in these proceedings. That is what we want, an evidence leader and a witness. We don't want personalities. And I have said it many times, I thought you understood. When we say the honorable members of this National Assembly are sitting here very patiently, so that you can help us for these meetings to proceed. And we don't make judgments in these proceedings, Senior Counsel. We don't make judgments. If we we bring a witness here to come and accuse him or her, I don't think it's a fair statement to make, to say to the witness that this is not about Paul O'Sullivan, it's about you. That statement is misplaced. If there are questions that we want to put on General Phahlane for him to respond, or there are allegations of corruption against him, let's state the questions. Say, there is this allegation that you took 10 rand of the SAPS. What is your response? But to say to him that you are now trying to deflect attention from yourself to somebody is unfortunate. And I don't think the committee can agree to that. If there is any, and for sure, consciously you also understand that that statement does not belong here, because you even said it yourself that you don't hold a brief from O'Sullivan. Consciously or subconsciously you understood that you said something that you were not supposed to have said. So I humbly request that if there are any allegations that we want to probe, allegations of corruption, let's state those matters and allow the general to respond as a brief. Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to make a follow-up question to the General. That when the IPID and Paul O'Sullivan went to your house, because you got a call, as you articulated to us that you were in Wamhlanga and you went to Polokwane. Paul O'Sullivan, when he came to your house, he came as a complainant, or he came as we know now that he's in control of the IPID and other state institutions in the security, like SAPS, IPID, and I think it's not disputable now. Now, you said it very clear that it's unusual that a complainant, I guess the police as well, if they get the address, they don't need Paul O'Sullivan to accompany them anyway. Now, in your experience, because as you said, you started many years ago as a police constable, up to the rank where you are before you set home. You still insist that it is not common for, in particular in your case, I don't want to deviate from your case, or Paul O'Sullivan went into your house for a particular reason. It was not about only taking pictures. It was about you, as he was boasted to say he has removed police commissioners in this country. What's your take on that?
Chair, I want to respond to that question by making reference to the IPID Act. And I'll answer it to the end. IPID Act, which is sitting on page 51 of my affidavit. Paragraph 1172, but I'm going to go straight to 2, which is there on page 51. A person appointed as an investigator must have at least a grade 12 certificate or a relevant diploma or degree. B, say must have knowledge and relevant experience of criminal investigation or any other relevant experience. 3, say any person may not be appointed as an investigator unless information with respect to that person has been gathered in an appropriate security screening investigation as prescribed by the minister. The security screening investigation contemplated in subsection 3 must be done in conjunction with the National Intelligence Agency as referred to in section 3 of the Intelligence Services Act of 2002. 5 say the executive director or official so delegated by him or her must issue a security screening certificate in respect of such person, wherein it is certified that such a person has successfully undergone a security clearance and is appointed as an investigator in terms of this act. If Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has got a security clearance, that makes him an investigating officer. For a moment, forget that he's a complainant. But now you know that he has been investigating me, or he is the boss of IPID and IDEC when they do investigations. I have testified, and there are affidavits to that effect. I went through Brigadier Ngube's affidavit, who was the investigating officer in the matter. I went through extracts of what the witnesses are saying. And these witnesses are saying, Paul O'Sullivan and Sarah Jane Trent were taking statements from them. That's what the statements are saying. If we forget for a moment that he's not an investigating officer, if the justification that when you do pointing out, blah, 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 you bring people, what kind of a pointing out is being done by somebody who purports to be a complainant, and that person takes statements? I have testified to that effect. Now, of course, Chair, people have the right to accuse me, but let's go to court, whoever has got anything that they're accusing me of. And when I'm being told about the so-called corruption, I'm speaking to those issues in here.
Yeah, no,
we are still going there.
It's fine. Let's come back to the game. Advocate Arendse, you can proceed.
Yes, I want to be very specific. The two issues I want to speak to, the one is Kabinde, because he also gave evidence here. And the other one is this so-called security threat. I'm reading to you. It's clear that we're not going to finish, by the way. So this affidavit will be made available to you. This is an affidavit from a Lieutenant Colonel FHC Kruger or Krier. I don't know if you know this person. Franz Hendrik Christian Kruger states under oath, I'm a Lieutenant Colonel in the African Police Service, stationed at Crime Intelligence Head Office. Additional to my previous statement that he made on the 2nd of November, the following. Regarding paragraph 5 of my previous statement, I was informed that Paul O'Sullivan was with the members of IPID who visited the Sable Hill complex, that's your place, regarding an investigation against Lieutenant General Phahlane. I never recommended any further investigation into the quote-unquote security breach tasking we received. I was informed by a source that SAPS members from Northwest Province visited Sable Hill complex just after we left and before we even submitted the report. This is an affidavit which is dated and signed on the 24th of November 2017. This is shortly after this visit to your place. So that's the first issue. The other issue relates to Nkabinde. Again, a document you would be familiar with because it's your case that you brought. This is in the matter of, in the Gauteng High Court, Johannes Gamotso Phahlane, case number 8258. 2017. Phahlane versus Executive Director, Independent Police Investigative Directorate. First respondent, Paul O'Sullivan. Second respondent, Sarah Jane Trent. Third respondent, the Magistrate J.R. Nsatsi, nominee officio. Fourth respondent. I'm reading to you from a supplementary affidavit of Robert John McBride, where he says at paragraph 3, I've read Phahlane's supplementary affidavit, which was deposed to on 21 August 2018, and the supporting affidavit of a former IPID investigator, Mr. Cedric Nkabinde, deposed to on the 24th of July 2018. I respond to both hereunder. The heading is the alleged quote-unquote new information about IPID's investigation of Phahlane.